I understand that there could be some changes that wind up being negative from this. I understand that, like, the college football that I grew up with and that I'm nostalgic for, Keith Jackson, 2:30 kickoffs on ABC, Manhattan, Kansas, the happiest place on earth, that whole deal, that's not coming back, and it's going to look and feel much different now moving forward. But I can't in good conscience sit here and say, well, because I selfishly so badly want what I am nostalgic for and what I grew up with, I'm going to hold down the players and continue to advocate for holding down the players because of that. Keep the system the way that it's always been because that's what I grew up with, that's what I'm nostalgic for, and that's what I loved in 1998. So let's keep it the same where Michael Bishop makes millions of dollars for this university, funds an entire athletic department, funds an entire local economy, boosts this city, but yet he gets nothing. I can't in good conscience say that that's the way that it needs to continue. I mean, another angle of this that, like, I'm sorry, it's just impossible to ignore is throughout the course of time, it's been largely older white administrators, older white coaches that make all of the money off of younger black players that are coming from, like, underprivileged communities a lot of times to actually play the football games that fuel all of this. And I don't think it's right. I just can't in good conscience support, like, hey, just don't let them make any of the money off of that and keep the system as is purely for my selfish interests. So that's how I view this. I understand that there are going to be things that come down the road that may not be pleasing to fans of the have-nots, that may not be pleasing to fans of the entire college football world. There will be bumps. There will be kinks to work out. That's all coming. But it's been a long time coming. And this process all could have been easier if the NCAA long ago would have had some sort of self-awareness. And self-awareness, I guess, is probably the wrong word because they're damn well aware of how much the business model had changed over the years because they're the ones cashing the checks. They're the ones that, I mean, what was the deal? It was like $900 million or something, the deal for the NCAA tournament, like the money that they rake in. Like they've been cashing the checks for a long time. They know just how big a business it is, but they would refuse to budge on letting any of the players in on any little sliver of the pie. And if we could have done this gradually, created some nice legislation around it, been more amicable with the players, like allowed players to unionize, sit down at a table and discuss some of these things, hash it out, like we could have gotten here to a point where it's not the wild, wild west and the athletic departments right now are left kind of scrambling. But that's not what happened. And now we're here. And everything has turned very combative. And what you have now is not only a public that is on the side of the players looking at it the same way I am, and a lot of the public being people that aren't as emotionally tied to it as somebody like I, or I imagine you in the listening audience are. They're just like sports fans in general, like a professional sports fan looks at this and in 2 seconds is like, yeah, that's messed up. Like, why? How has this been a thing? Anybody can see it. And so now we're here. And now we're dealing with things like this. And so I see tweets like this today from Andrew Brandt, who is with SI. He's got a bunch of stuff here. He's a former ESPN employee as well, but he says, here is the problem with name, image, and likeness for athletic departments. Sponsors may decide to divert their advertising budget away from the school and towards the athletes. This will happen. Okay, so we created a totally free market now where the advertisers can choose where it is that they want to put their money. We've created an actual open free market where the market decides where the money is going to go. And oh, imagine that. A chunk of it's going to go to the players. And so the response, if you extrapolate this out, is, well, maybe scholarships will have to be restricted. Maybe sports will have to be cut. There's a lot that I would respond to that with. One, I think that's alarmist. And I can understand how people in athletic departments right now would be very alarmist about this because it is a free-for-all. All you have to do is check Twitter and you can see all these things whiz and by you. There goes a Runza deal. There goes a TikTok. There goes a Cameo. Like, it's all over the place. So I can understand why you'd be alarmist if you're in an athletic department. Like, this has really upset the apple cart. I think it's also exaggerating a bit because there's an advantage if you're an administrator to exaggerate that and leak that to people and see if you can do any kind of work to get the diehard college football fans that you can play to their nostalgia and be like, whoa, no, wait, we can't have this, we can't have this. So I think you have to take that into consideration here and who Andrew Brandt may be talking to there. But even if all that is true, even if that is 100% true, which I don't think it is, but even if that is 100% true, that if sponsors decide to do this, it's going to lead to cutting scholarships and you'll have 70 scholarship football players instead of 85. Deal with it. Find a way to deal with it because now the players are finally getting their cut. For so long, it's been the players get nothing and more facilities get built. Bill Snyder always called them the Taj Mahals. The Taj Mahals get built. The pocketbooks of administrators get lined. We've got all kinds of 80s around the country making 7 figures. There are lots of 6-figure paying jobs in athletic departments across the country. Head coaches. I mean, Dabo Swinney. The ball's on that guy. He said 2 years ago in 2019, everyone's circulating this today. He said 2 years ago he would leave, he would quit if players started getting paid. And now, of course, guess what? It's here. Dabo's not quitting because he's taking in a $9 million freaking paycheck. So he's not leaving. These coaches just have made millions and millions of dollars. And even if you're an assistant, you're making 6 figures. You're living in really nice houses. You got a pool in your backyard. Like, you can figure it out. Slash some coaches' salaries. Slash some administrator salaries. There's a lot of money that goes around these athletic departments. And I get the idea here is like, well, everybody's out over their skis. Like, you're too committed to all these projects and trying to build facilities and the money that's already been out there committed to people. You're out over your skis. What do we do? What do we do? Deal with it. Complain to Mark Emmert. It's the NCAA's fault. Like, I do have some level of empathy there for like athletic department employees being like, I guess I'm scared because I don't know how we will handle this. But that's where like I just have to take a macro big picture view on this and say like we're doing what is right in the abstract. It's going to lead to some problems right now in the near term, potentially, as everybody tries to sort this out. But that's because we're doing the right thing, and the correct path to pursue this, which was gradually, bit by bit at a time, has not been pursued because the NCAA is a corrupt organization that's just been robbing, frankly, a lot of these athletes of what they've deserved for a long time. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I see a tweet like that, and it's like that's why all I said on Twitter was good when I saw that tweet. And I know you can read that and be like, well, that's a dumb opinion, or like that's a very just terse way of viewing it. Like this last 18 minutes or 12 minutes, I guess, that I've been on the radio, like that's the big picture. That's how I arrive at good when I see that. Because it's about damn time that those are the issues. Those are the people that have to deal with the issues now. Instead of these student athletes. Instead of like Reggie Bush, who's out there today having to like beg for his Heisman Trophy back because the things that he got dinged for, like now, it wouldn't have been a problem. Reggie Bush could have made money and all that stuff while he was there. So for once, we are doing the right thing. Everything else will work itself out. And it's time for the people who have pools in their backyard to do the work and figure out the answers to these problems.